Alright, welcome back to Roguetech, and welcome back to your first playthrough. So, we have an enforcer that we've kind of been poking at a little bit. We have a locust that is so interesting. Has some kind of electronic warfare equipment. Has a tag, I'm fairly certain. And based on the particle effects, I'm fairly certain the tag is center torso. We'll see. We'll see. But ideally, we'll take down the locust in the next 4 rounds. Hopefully. It does look like the buildings should survive. We have been taking the shots from the fire bee indirectly. And we have been taking the shots from the Enforcer and the Locust for the most part when they've shot. We have the Wheeled Scout, the Vanguard unit, actually very much likely to die from backstrikes at this point. So we're going to focus it with the Locust. We're going to try to rotate the Stealth around to help take on these 2 mechs. And yes, I'm pretty much only going to be able to kill maybe these 2 mechs by the end of the mission. But it's fine, because the Lance over here is being completely distracted. Well, I say completely. Largely distracted by our various allies flying around and being insane and sometimes shooting at them. So that's cool. As long as none of the buildings fall, which all of them except for this one are above half, and this one still has 73 structure left. That's one of the benefits of early game defend base missions, is like, if you have allies to draw fire at all, and if you can separate off and only deal with 1 lance of reinforcements, it tends to be more successful, and you end up taking usually less damage than a battle where you're against 1 or 2 lances. So,
yep.
With that out of the way, let's, Our sensor roll is +4, so we're going to have no sensors. But our hit chance on the Enforcer is too good to reliably stray shot the Locust. I'm definitely not going to stand and shoot. I just wanted to hover to see what the hit chance is, because if you stand, or if you toggle attack without having moved and without having sprinted, it will show you the actual effects that you're currently facing this turn. So we actually do have sensors at present, but we still are dealing with enemy effects +2, ECM shield +2, into forest, height difference, range, and the 7 evasion. So here's an interesting idea. What if we give him a turn first, actually? Because if he leaves the high ground, that's essentially +1 accuracy for us. If he doesn't get as much evasion, that might be additional accuracy for us. If he's closer, then we'll be within minimum range, and that will be additional accuracy for us. And if he gets close enough, we might be able to kick him. And specifically, kicking him with a medium mech would be interesting, because if the kick goes to the right leg, it will destroy it and likely open up the side torso. And if it goes to the other leg, it will definitely open it up and possibly destroy it. And if we can get that little guy on the ground, we will kill him. 100%.
Holding for the right opportunity.
So we're going to take a moment, and reserving early game you have to be very, very careful with, because hesitation is based on your tactics, I think, and piloting. So until you get a bunch of skill points on your Mechwarriors, reserving is going to give you a lot of hesitation. And what just happened? Wait. What just happened? I thought it said structure destroyed. Wait, what? Did they get a crit on the mech structure component? Also, he's zooming. He is zooming. Wow. Okay. That's fine. Getting a backstrike on him is also a good idea. Will increase our hit chance. I'm hopeful, actually, that we just core him. Coring a mech is where you just destroy center torso and leave the rest intact. So, whenever you core a mech, you generally only have one mech part for salvage, but anything that's in the side torsos, on the arms, in the legs, in the head is intact, unless the engine goes critical, which I'll talk about when it happens. It's most likely going to happen if you're fishing for crits in the center torso. In any case, yeah, let's...
Good to go.
Ooh, okay. 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 So, obstructed line of sight is a damage and accuracy penalty. But we can shoot him in the back. Which, again, if we hit center torso and destroy center torso or the engine, that's a kill. And he's already open, so we only need about 25 damage. So even with the reduced damage from obstructed line of sight, this will still potentially kill if we do damage to center. Also, I kind of don't want to destroy side torsos. Because if I destroy side torsos, I might destroy the electronic warfare components that I'm after. And also, I was able to position where my side is to the rest of the reinforcements over here, rather than my back. So that's why I'm very eager to take this shot. Now, unfortunately, ECM shield +3 now. Oh, wait. Our Phoenix Hawk... Yeah. Our Phoenix Hawk is being piloted by the disgraced Mechwarrior, so they have +1 ECM probe. That's why it was +2 when we were shooting with the Phoenix Hawk, and why it's +3 ECM shield when we're firing with Scion here. Regardless...
Hey, buddy! Behind you!
Doesn't change our plan. And we crit his gyro. So critting...
You'll take it and like it.
Critting the gyro means that he is now, whenever he sprints, he now has to succeed on a piloting roll, or he will fall down. That's actually kind of bad, because we opened him from the side. Is he seriously shooting at the hover tank? Cool. I'll take it. Again, this is the benefit to defend base, more than anything else, is we're not getting shot at, which means we don't have damage to repair for the most part. Except for, you know, the mask that we took a bunch of damage to our legs because, yeah. Yeah. In any case. Alright, Wolverine structure is exposed. They might actually kill the Wolverine. I wouldn't mind getting random medium mech parts as salvage. Once again, high explosive ammo in our AMS. That Thunderbolt is very unlikely, as long as it's not jammed. Very unlikely to get through the AMS.
Yeah?
And again, this is 100% a mask turn as well. To get in position to shoot him in the back. Preferably without exposing our back to the other guys. Yeah, so we're gonna go here. Specifically so that none of them can shoot our back. Because that's the one thing that could make this go from, hey, we're doing alright, to, oh no, that just happened. And we're gonna all in. We're gonna build up a little bit of heat. Remember, I did say that we have a good heat delta on everyone. That's why we went to the desert. The reason that we have heat generation is, in part, because the desert's reducing our cooling, but also in part because that heat delta was specifically showing for everything firing at default, which is the machine guns firing at ×3, and the AMS firing in normal mode, not squad mode. Squad mode or lance mode actually increases the heat generation, so at least it, yeah, +1 heat. So it's, instead of generating 1 heat, it generates 2. Which, it's just, you know, one of those things that it's not that big of a deal with just a stock standard basic AMS. But with laser AMS, or with one of the other advanced AMSs, that heat builds up really quick. But the bigger thing is the machine guns here. You can see we're generating 4 heat instead of generating 2 heat. So altogether, that's 5 extra heat per turn, in addition to our cooling being 90% what it normally would be. That said, we're still able to keep firing every turn in a hot biome. Whereas, I'm pretty sure that's why the Locust took a turn off here and there, is those 2 large lasers are going to be very hot.
Locked on rear armor.
That's unfortunate. Oh, never mind. I'm pretty sure we cored him. So he had a double heatsink kit that got crit, not destroyed, just crit. So we might also be able to salvage a double heatsink kit in addition to some kind of electronic warfare equipment. That is awesome. Very happy to see that. But we won't know exactly what's on offer until we get to the salvage screen, which will likely be tomorrow's video. So we still have 4 rounds left here, and we still have a lot of considerations.
Hey.
So, once again, the Locust, we are absolutely going to take the opportunity to move and shoot into his back with all the things. And it should kill. Should. It should. We're firing all the things. We don't need much. There we go. Vanguard is destroyed. Bonus pay is secured. So now, we took the Locust down in a way that I'm pretty sure left all the stuff we want on the table. The Enforcer's running hot. Oh, it's an ER PPC and an L... Okay. I was thinking of the 5R, I think. The 5DR is definitely not primitive. It's running an LB10 and an ER PPC. That said, ER PPCs are really hot. If memory serves, it's 45 heat. That's a lot. So if he keeps firing on us, he's gonna cook. And that LB10 having an ammo explosion would be juicy. So yeah, the most evasion we can get while still shooting him in the side and approaching the top of the hill is here. And the reason I want to approach the top is so I have elevation bonus against the Hunter and the Fire Bee. Because here's the thing. We didn't see the Hunter when they first dropped in. That makes me think it has electronic warfare components as well. And again, that would be the most ideal thing we could get early game. And I see that we apparently do have line of sight to the Cattle Master way over here. Not worried about that at all. So yeah, I'm going to... Honestly, I'm just going to move for the higher hit chance. It's only 1 hex difference, so... Whatever. And 1 evasion. Whatever. Our tank is fresh. One note about tanks is... Unless they changed it again... this is my first mission with the handheld rework, so unless they changed it, you don't have to repair damage to tanks. They just automatically are repaired and good to go. We'll find out. Actually, I was going to say we'll find out after the mission, but it has taken 0 damage. We'll find out after the first mission where it takes damage. And you can see sprinting is not getting us much more than just moving. So we're actually going to move as close to land as possible. Can only fire our streak, but it's fine. It's fine.
Let's get this done for
and we missed, so it didn't fire.
It's go time.
So we have 3 rounds left to kill the Enforcer and maybe kill the... I believe it's a Hero Cattle Master on the other side that I think has more electronic warfare gear. And maybe the Enforcer.
Ready for orders.
I would take random salvage that came out of the Enforcer. Sure. Definitely. But, my primary focus is on these electronic warfare components I might be able to get. And 1%. Clear. Which lets us get all the way over here. And 1%.
Hauling in.
Survey says clear. Okay, we did not get a crit. I just have to make sure to turn it off
Engaging.
once it has an actual, like, severe crit chance. But there is still, when 1% does mean 1%. It can happen. The only time you're completely safe with any components that have a fail chance is if it says 0% exactly. But then again, there have been times where I've, you know, rolled a 70+% crit chance
What do you
and
need?
succeeded because luck. Mask off before I forget, because it's not really super necessary right now. I say as I look and think maybe I should have. No, it's fine. We'll shoot from here.
Going full
We
throttle.
want to cool down anyway, because the Phoenix Hawk is getting a little toasty, and that is reducing our mobility. So we'll turn off the machine guns. How's that do for us? Still generating a little bit of heat. Then again, I mean... Okay. We can shoot with a 40% hit chance for 25 damage. Or, next turn, we can have essentially +1 accuracy and plus 30 meter move. So, definitely dropping the medium laser. And, yeah. Doing some work. Doing some work. Now... Oof. Okay. Vehicles. So, first thing to note, Tainted Loki is not dead. Specifically because it said left destroyed. There was no ammo explosion. Left side was destroyed, and the crew compartment, the thing where the person is the front. So, if it had said front destroyed, Tainted Loki would have most likely been killed. But since it was left destroyed, he should be fine. That said, the vehicle being destroyed, I just made the comment that vehicles you don't have to pay to repair. Well, vehicles are also subject to, whenever you set up your campaign, the percentage chance to lose your mech. Except from what I've seen, based on my previous experiences, I believe that the chance to lose a vehicle is like plus or minus 25% from whatever that setting is, which I recommend be at least 50% whenever you start off, because then you can eject to get the full 100% salvage chance for your or for your mechs. If you eject, you guaranteed to save mechs, but I've ejected with vehicles and not salvaged them or not kept them. There is a chance when a vehicle explodes that after the mission you have it and it's fine and dandy and it's like nothing ever happened. There's also the chance that it is completely destroyed and you aren't able to recover it, in which case during the salvage screen I'll show you where and when to look for it, but there might be parts of the mech left for us to bring home. But the most important part is Tainted Loki did not die. Probably. Most likely. Hopefully. Unless the damage traveled from left to front, or if there was a vital component destroyed, or if we were fighting in a Martian or lunar environment where destroying any part of a vehicle can result in the pilot suffocating because no atmosphere.
Waiting for orders.
That all said, yeah, he's toasty, and yeah,
Going turbo.
our hit chance on him is really good because he stood in shot, so he has no evasion. So he's gonna die for it, but he did destroy our tank. And yeah, we are generating a bit of heat, but that's fine. I don't really
Tell me
care.
what to shoot.
We missed.
We can do this.
We missed a lot. We missed so many things. That's unfortunate. But he didn't move, so everyone who we have left in the round that can shoot at him will have a good hit chance. And yeah, everyone that acts before him next round will also have a great hit chance. Okay, they're shooting thermobarics at our buildings. So thermobolts, the thermal missiles fired from Thunderbolt launchers, do more damage to buildings than just firing the Thunderbolt would have. So that's actually kind of scary. Also, it's AoE. Okay, they destroyed the ERPVC and the left arm. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Worth noting, that light rotary rifle can actually be pretty scary if it hits, and especially if it hits open components. Pretty high crit chance even though it's primitive. But yeah, so even though the arm got destroyed, and even though it said ERPPC destroyed, that does not mean that there won't be a chance to salvage it. It's a very low chance. If it says ERPPC destroyed, the chance to actually have it show up on the loot table is minuscule and essentially negligible, but it can happen. It is worth noting that if you destroy the side, so if you destroy a mech and you do not destroy whatever location has whatever equipment, which is why I was trying to core the Locust rather than destroy its side torsos, whatever equipment was in fully intact locations that did not get crit or destroyed by critical hits will almost always be on the loot table. Equipment and components and weapons that are in a location that was destroyed, that were themselves not specifically crit or destroyed, are sometimes on the loot table. There's a chance roll for it to show up on the loot table. And from what I've seen, it's give or take a chunk, kind of a coin flip, 50-50, maybe 60-40, maybe better, whatever. If you destroy the location, there's still a decent chance, if the weapon system or equipment wasn't itself damaged in the destruction of the location, there's a decent chance of it being there on the loot table, ready to take. If you destroy a location that has the weapon in it, and the weapon is destroyed in the process, for example, by ammo explosion, or if you just, as you saw there, see blah 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 destroyed, the chance of it being on the loot table is incredibly small, but not zero. That's what I was trying to say.
I'm here.
Now then, I mean, sure.
Going as
Why
fast
not?
as I can.
It's probably just 2 medium lasers that we're shooting, but it's more than nothing. Yep. Pew.
Locking in target.
Obstructed line of sight, medium lasers, so a little over 20 damage each.
Bad luck.
And horrible hit chance because the range was so, it was such a long range shot. But it's fine. It's fine. The only other option would have been move and shoot, where we would have had less evasion and 20% damage reduction. Well, 40% damage reduction against an autocannon. I mean, LB-10's 60 damage, 40% off of 60. The Locust still would have been in dire straits if it got hit. So, yeah, here's hoping we can just... mask's on. Turn the mask off. Because we can still get here, get an unobstructed shot to the side. The side that already lost its arm. So, any shots that would have hit arm transfer to side torso. Any shots that hit side torso once it's destroyed will transfer to center torso and bypass any armor. So you can potentially destroy the center torso of a mech without shredding through its armor by just getting enough critical damage from the side torso. And we have an amazing hit chance, actually. So, cool. I actually should have...
Go time.
He has a Beagle probe that we just destroyed.
Valid connection on
That would have been
one.
nice. That would have made that whole situation firing on the Locust and firing on him, and whenever we get to it, if we get to it, firing on the Cattle Master back there. Yeah, Beagle Probe's nice. Beagle Probe lets you bypass a lot of ECM interference. But it's fine. We actually might struggle to even kill him by the end of the battle. We only have the rest of this round and then one more round left, so... Okay, Thunderbolt missed, but the AMS did fire, so... The AMS on the Bushwhacker is generating additional heat that our Delta did not show. Oh, he is still shooting at the build. You know what? It's fine. I will take a pay cut if it means that AC-10 is not hitting one of my mechs. It's already bad enough that he destroyed my vehicle, so...
What can I do for you?
It's, you know, it's fine. It's whatever that he decided to destroy a building instead of shooting at me. It's fine. It's completely fine. I don't really want to shoot him from the fresh side, which I think actually means shooting at the Cattle Master back here. Taser rifle, bolt-on incendiary rockets, 2 machine guns, and a bunch of destroyed things also will be probably within the minimum range of the Thunderbolt, so I don't think we'll have to worry about the Thunderbolt launchers necessarily, unless it's a Thunderbolt and an SRM. But again, we didn't see him when they first dropped. And he only has 1 evasion from what I can tell. So he might have electronic warfare equipment in him. That said, he might also have nothing but junk in him, in which case we're cluttering up our salvage for the chance at maybe something that he might not even be carrying. So no, let's not. Let's not and say we did. Also, the Enforcer moved to such a position where I don't think we can get unobstructed anywhere. But I definitely want to shoot him from the side that's already damaged and opened. So... looks like this spot and this spot only. That's fine.
Moving fast.
We are shooting past the stealth. We are shooting past the stealth. But we have a pretty good hit chance, and obstructed line of sight does mean that anything that hits the stealth will have reduced damage by a bit. Okay. Offensive push. Take a called shot with an accuracy penalty. Tactics and piloting improve this. The target's next initiative is reduced by gunnery and tactics skills divided by 2. But we could also vigilance. So again, he only has 3 evasion. Vigilance will give us damage reduction from shots from the front for the last round, basically. Or alternatively, we can use the initiative bonus. The next initiative is increased by guts and tactics divided by 2 to potentially shoot him again before he gets more evasion with unobstructed line of sight. And if we don't use it, we will, you know, kind of have let it go to waste. Now, we do get +1 ECM and probe when we're above 50 resolve. And right now we're at 62 out of 80. Which makes me actually think maybe I should look first. Does he have any kind of ECM at all? No. So he just had the Beagle probe. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, I am going to vigilance, just in case he decides to shoot my Bushwhacker.
Got it.
And we got no stray shots. We destroyed left torso, so Pilot is now... Pilot dropped to 2 out of 3 injuries, and the mech fell down. So I believe that means he was running an XL engine. And this is a great time to talk about that before we, you know, wrap up this mission and go home and look at the salvage and everything. So, an XL extra light engine. The XL is extra light, XXL is extra light. reduces the tonnage of your engine core. XL is by half, and XXL is by 75%. The trade-off there is that if you lose your side torso, your engine will receive a number of crits equal to how many slots it takes up in the side torso. And XL... What just exploded? Oh, they're wrecking the Icarus. And that's a knockdown. So that's another thing that I could talk about. I will finish what I was saying first about the XL engines, and then I will move on to the knockdown. So an XL extra light engine, just a standard inner sphere extra light engine, has 3 engine slots in each side torso. What that means is the engine can receive engine crits from hits that hit the side torso before the side torso is destroyed, compared to a standard engine which can only receive crits from damage to the center torso or damage to side torsos that have been completely destroyed already. But the other thing that comes with having 3 slots of the engine in a side torso is that the side torso being destroyed automatically crits the engine 3 times, and when a mech receives 3 engine crits, the engine is destroyed. So, by running an XL engine, like the one that's in our Bushwhacker, we have the XL engine, the extra light engine, which takes up, as it shows here, engine slots in each side torso. The standard inner sphere XL engine, I shouldn't say standard XL because standard and XL are 2 separate things. The XL, the inner sphere XL engine, takes up 3 slots in each side torso. So if you lose one side torso or the other, your mech drops and you potentially lose your mech. XXL, the only disadvantage between an inner sphere XL and an inner sphere XXL is the number of slots that the XXL takes up in the side torsos. Which, going back to my previous way back video in this series where I mentioned how crits are dispersed based on how many slots a weapon or ammo bin or whatever other stuff takes up, means that having more engine slots in each side torso increases the chance that the engine will take a crit if there's a crit in the side torso. But other than that one little situation where you're taking crits in your side torso, an XXL doesn't have very much disadvantage at all compared to an XL to save an additional 25%. Or is it 66%? It might be 66%. Actually, I think it is 66%. It used long time ago. The extra light used to be 75%, I believe. But I think last time I used one, if I remember correctly, it's 66%. In any case, it saves tonnage at the expense of slots and at the expense of your engine being crit more easily. The only XL extra light engine that does not result in mech destruction if you lose a side torso is the Clan XL or the Society engine, or potentially some other quirky engines. Yeah, so the way you can tell if losing side torso costs you a mech is if it has more than 2 slots in the side torso. 2 slots, your engine will have been crit twice if you lose side torso, so you'll be generating an additional 30 heat per turn as well as have a couple other bad things, and if your engine takes a single additional crit, it goes down. But you can still function and fight and eject with 1 side torso down, unless you have 3 or more engine slots in the side torso. Now then, knockdowns. So, the Icarus was already, because you can tell, the leg was already open. It was destroyed, and when a leg is destroyed, the mech drops to the ground, loses all evasion, You then get a bonus to hit against them. If they have... I believe if they have cover, it still applies. But if they have guarded, guarded is lost. If they have sure footing or any other kind of entrenched or stability of any kind, that's lost, but that no longer matters because their stability bar hits max whenever they get knocked down. When you stand up, your stability drops. Your stability that you currently have suffered drops, but does not drop all the way to 0. So unless you stand up and then brace, you will have an easier time being knocked back down. Part of being knocked down is your pilot takes an injury. Another part of being knocked down is anyone who can shoot at you can make a targeted called shot with no accuracy penalty, as if they were offensive pushing. Your initiative does not get reduced by that shot, but they can pick the location they want to shoot at with no penalty to hit. Unfortunately for me, even though that was the most interesting salvage opportunity from that lance, I'm kind of committed over here. So my choices have nothing to do with him being on the ground. Oh, also, once you've lost a leg, you can never have 0 stability for the rest of the battle. Because just limping around, dragging a leg behind you automatically keeps you at, I think, 20 stability damage. Now, the only 2 other ways other than losing a leg, well, I should say 3 other ways. The only 3 other ways you can get knocked down other than losing a leg is either you are already unsteady, as in you've already had 41 plus stability damage, and then you take the additional however much, which from 41 it takes for standard mech with a standard gyro. It takes an additional 59 stability damage to reach the 100 mark where you get knocked down. If you have a special gyro, an upgraded gyro of any kind, your stability threshold will either be lower if it's a light gyro that lets you have more tonnage available, or will be higher if it's a more stable gyro. The second other way that you can get knocked down is if you fail a piloting check at any time for any reason. The negative result of the piloting check is you fall down. So if you jump and you fail a piloting check related to the jump, which I think they removed the piloting check for just you are jumping, and as long as you are jumping with a perfectly well-maintained mech that has taken no structure or no crits, I think you're just guaranteed to successfully jump. Don't quote me on that. I haven't really used a whole lot of jump jets in recent years. But if you're jumping or if you're sprinting with damaged leg actuators, like I have several times with my stealth, every time you do that, there is a piloting check, and if you fail the piloting check, you fall down. When you're missing a leg, you're rolling piloting checks for just about everything to not fall back down. So if a mech is missing a leg and the Mechwarrior has injuries from falling down, the odds of them falling down again is heightened considerably. And then the last way that you can potentially fall down, other than losing a leg, is, unless they've changed it, the sprinting melee attack is called a charge. In the code, it's actually called a tackle attack. But, yeah, whenever you are charged by another mech, they have adjusted it so that's not just guaranteed knockdown anymore, because it used to be if it hit, it was a guaranteed knockdown. So you could literally have a random melee charge from your 30, 40 ton mech hit an Atlas and knock it to the ground. They have since changed it so that it is partially dependent on the tonnages of the 2 mechs involved, and also partially dependent on how fast the charging mech was going. So if you build a mech specifically for charging, i.e. you get a little 20, 30 ton mech and you put the biggest core you possibly can, and then stuff to boost your melee accuracy, you can charge an Atlas with your little 20, 30-ton mech and possibly just get an instant knockdown on them. But it's going to be a lot harder on the Atlas than if it's on a Bushwhacker or some other medium mech. At which point it basically is a guaranteed knockdown, because the delta between your tonnage is so much smaller, and if you're moving a ton of hexes, you tackle people real well if you're just sprinting around. Now, even though he's on the ground, and even though if we destroyed the other leg, anything in this mech that is intact, which is going to be some good stuff since it's the 1X variant, we can't. Realistically, we just don't have the ability to get over there before he stands back up next round. But we can go over here and engage these two. The question is, do I want to? And if we were able to destroy both of them by the end of the next round, we would get bonus C-bills, which the bonus is significant on a low skull mission. But it would also add anything of theirs to the loot table, which means our random salvage, instead of being from the very interesting Locust or the decent tech Centurion, or not Centurion, Enforcer, or was that this one's the Wolverine. Yeah, it was an Enforcer over here. I don't know where I got Centurion from. In any case, if we destroy either or both of these, their components, their parts, their weapons would be added to the loot table, and our random salvage would be pulled from a pool, or, from what's left on the salvage table after we grab what we want. So if they were definitely higher tech, better stuff than the Vanguard that we already destroyed, destroying them would make the loot table more interesting. But I haven't been able to get perfect sensors on them at all, so I don't know what they have. And this Cattle Master specifically, very concerned that it has bolt-on incendiary rockets and a taser rifle. It's probably not carrying the best stuff, especially since the crazy number of weapons it has turns out to be 4 machine guns and probably 2 small lasers, which is a total of, I think, 1.5 tons, I believe. Not super worth at all. Probably not even running any kind of special structure. It might be running. I don't know. That's the bottom line. I don't know what it's running. The Firebees usually bring decent stuff. Usually. But if I come around the corner, they'll both be able to shoot me, which means I'll take damage, because I will be basically the only target they can shoot. I don't care if they shoot buildings at this point, because there's 0 chance of them destroying enough buildings, the 4 buildings they would have to destroy at this point, for me to lose the mission. And I've already lost 1, so the biggest pay deduction of not having kept the entire, every building alive is already done. We'll go over that in the post-mission screen. So I really don't care, I don't think, about either of these guys. And the Thunderbolt, Thermobolt, whatever, firing indirectly, as long as we stay within our AMS range and our AMS stays unjammed for 2 more activations, I think. Wait. Or has he already gone? Has he already gone? No, he has not. The Firebee has not. I don't think. No, he has. He has. That's the dark. It was highlighted because I had right-clicked him. Yeah, so he's already gone. So that means he's going to have 1 more activation to shoot. Not worried about that at all, especially with our AMS unjammed. We will definitely intercept it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try to crest this ridge and maybe get a shot on the Icarus before he stands up. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use Vigilance. So Vigilance increases your initiative for the next round by Guts plus Tactics divided by 2. And Sarge, the Phoenix Hawk, gives +1 Tactics. So our Guts plus Tactics divided by 2 is 4. So our initiative next round is going to be increased by 4. And that's not nothing. So hopefully we will be able to crest the ridge and take a shot. And hopefully hit the leg and take the leg off. Or maybe our allies will panic him out. Oh, that's unfortunate. It actually went center. Ooh, that's bad. Well, then again, wait. Okay, the 1X... I know I've said this several times, but the 1X is not the Icarus 2 I thought it was. Large Laser Tronal. I'm pretty sure the Tronal is a low-tech, more primitive. Not as primitive as a Chem Laser, but more primitive large laser. So, no, he doesn't actually likely have interesting tech in him at all. So, I think the play is actually just move around and brace, because I don't really see anything else I care about getting on the loot table. Again, we were unable to protect all of the buildings, so at this point, I don't really care if another building or two falls. And I just kind of want to get done with the mission and get to the salvage screen without taking any more damage. Ideally. That's the dream. Hopefully we didn't lose the tank, but if we did, okay. Also, hopefully there's good stuff on the salvage table, and hopefully the Locust didn't have its electronic warfare gear destroyed. But yeah, everyone at this point is going to have one additional activation. I can take a shot with the Phoenix Hawk. 0% fail chance on the mask, so there's no reason not to use it to get closer and potentially get a better hit chance. And sometimes you'll see your move pips disappear, especially if you have you know, a lower grade graphics card or a lower RAM count than I do, or if you haven't set up your page file. That's another thing that I'll have to touch on at some point. But yeah, if the pips don't show up immediately, try toggling back and forth from either, if you're in move sprint, you know, toggle back and forth once, and if it doesn't, then give it a minute. So yeah, sometimes you just have to give it a minute to be able to let it do what it needs to do. I think I'm actually more interested in shooting at the Wolverine.
Alright, full speed.
Because that Wolverine, I would happily take a Wolverine part over most of the random salvage that I have access to. Like, ooh, it's a primitive Wolverine. Ooh, I stand corrected. Wait a second. That means we have a perfect sensor roll. Hold on. Icarus. Primitive. Okay. So it's a primitive Icarus, which our allies are probably going to destroy. That's unfortunate. Then again, okay. I think this is the last thing I'm going to cover before I call it for this video, and then tomorrow's video we will finish the last round, and we will go through the salvage screen and the post-mission stuff. So, primitive mechs. Primitive technology, primitive weapons, primitive gear is quirky. Kind of like quick sell gear if you have the quick sell stuff enabled. Kind of like pirate gear. It's quirky. It's not necessarily better or worse than the standard stock boring inner sphere contemporaries, but it is different, more interesting, you could say. For example, medium lasers are stock standard inner sphere boring. The primitive version of laser technology is chemical lasers. Chemical lasers are interesting in that they generate negligible heat. So you can load up a ton of chemical lasers on a mech and not have to worry about cooling. The trade-off is they take ammo, which can explode if they're crit. Now, large lasers, large chemical lasers, I'm getting way off topic. We'll deal with all that. We'll deal with primitive weaponry and stuff once we see it. But here we see primitive mechs. So, what that means, armor primitive, means that the armor you're dropping with is 66% of the armor you're paying tonnage for. So, if you would normally drop with 100 armor for that amount of armor pips, whenever you're in the mech bay and you stack up 100 armor, when you drop, you're going to have 66. That's what that means. Engine primitive means it takes additional slots. So, XL engines reduce the tonnage that an engine core takes up. Primitive engines increase the tonnage that an engine core takes up. So, why would you ever want to build a primitive mech? Money. Put simply, it is cheaper to cobble together different pieces into a primitive mech. It is cheaper to take that pile of broken mech that you just built and repair it into droppable condition. It is cheaper to maintain it when it takes damage in battle. And it is cheaper to replace equipment that breaks because, well, anything you replace is going to be better quality than what you're replacing. And then if you upgrade from primitive to high tech, for example, if you were to upgrade straight from primitive armor to ferrofibrous armor, you skip the step of standard armor and you save some C-bills. Now, the downside is if your higher tech stuff ever gets broken, like your standard engine, your standard fusion engine that you put in, gets destroyed and you don't lose the mech, it goes back to being a primitive engine until you have another replacement engine. But if your engine's getting destroyed, you're probably losing the mech, maybe. So upgrading a primitive engine into an extra light engine is a budget-friendly way to get a medium mech with an XL engine and ferrofibrous armor. So that being said, I wouldn't actually mind having a primitive mech that I could build. But this is the first mission. And if I have the choice between putting together a primitive mech and putting together a non-primitive mech, I would rather put together a standard tech mech. Mostly because the stuff that it comes with might be better. We can see this Icarus 2 has some SRM2s and ammo. Nothing interesting in the center torso. Nothing for the specialist slots. It has machine guns. It has standard heat sinks. And it has a large laser trommel. As compared to a standard Icarus 2, or even an advanced Icarus 2, that might come potentially with an extra light engine already installed. That might come with Ferro or Indo already installed, which is much cheaper than installing it yourself. Oh, also time. Repairing primitive tech is much, much faster. So if you just need to drop a chunk of metal on the battlefield, primitive is a very affordable and time-conscious way to get some experience on your Mechwarriors on relatively easy missions. So, with all that being said, I'm definitely more interested in the Wolverine than I am in the Cattlemaster. So sure.
Confirmed.
Why not? Okay.
I hear ya.
I'm gonna move and brace. I'm gonna move closer to the Thunderbolt so that my high explosive AMS will definitely intercept it. And I'm just gonna brace to prevent damage. Yeah, seeing now that it's a primitive on the ground, which is dead now, On the bright side, it's engine destruction, it's center torso destruction. There's only going to be one piece of salvage left. The equipment will be...
Orders?
But yeah, and then I'm also going to move specifically... Remember, the AMS takes up a radius around the Bushwhacker. If we move the stealth forward and the Fire Beast shoots at the stealth with a missile, the AMS only has a chance to intercept it as it enters in and then potentially hits the stealth. But if the stealth is standing on the other side of the Bushwhacker, the entire time the missile is traveling through the Bushwhacker's protected area, the AMS can fire and intercept it. And then we're gonna brace. Right. I'm at an hour, so for now, that's been your episode of Roguetech for the day. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, have a good one.